We're here at GIST 2023 with Marlin McFate, Chief Technology Officer Federal at Riverbed. Marlin, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to start by asking, where have you seen federal agencies implementing innovative data-driven strategies to improve customer and end-user experience?
Interesting question. If we had gone back a couple of years ago, I would have said probably not many places. But there is, for various reasons, there's a lot more focus now on customer and end user experience, not to mention the fact of the executive order from the president for specifically that, right? We want to get citizen services better, end user experience. One of the things I like about this particular subject is the fact that the government, even though they're mandated under things like the executive order, they're not taking a narrow view on it as far as the end user being a customer, so a citizen. They're also saying their actual internal users are also very important. So they're focusing on their experience as well, which is very important. Prior to maybe a couple of years ago, most solutions that were looking at what an end user experience was trying to collect data either from the network or the application, and then ascertain in some way, shape, or form what they believe the end user experience to be. And it's kind of a flawed way of thinking about it, if you think, right? So what we've done is develop a system that actually looks at the end user experience from the actual end user's machine, their perspective. And with that, we've been able to collect not only the right data, but much more relevant data and ascertain, when somebody's having a problem, the data actually says they're having a problem, as opposed to the ascertaining way of doing things years ago, where oftentimes the end user would say they're having an issue, but the system is saying that they should be, all sunshine and roses, right? And we're seeing a lot of, not only in civilian, but also in Intel and in DoD. They're very, very concerned about this. The other thing that's nice to see is these agencies are now implementing a chief experience officer, which is very important. If we think about it, the reason why it's important is, why do we do all these things? Build networks, build applications, are to service some end user or accomplish some mission or some outcome in the most effective, productive way, and have it be right? And now we're actually not only trying to implement those systems to do that, but we're actually trying to give them the best experience and looking in the right places.
And then I'm also curious, where have you seen federal agencies implementing, again, innovative data-driven strategies designed to strengthen security?
It's actually another interesting question. So the data that we typically collect isn't always necessarily considered cybersecurity data. In some ways, forensics, like packet data, is oftentimes viewed to be very relevant in figuring out maybe what the adversary is after the fact, like a forensic. So what did they get to? What data may have they gotten, and those types of things. But other types of data like S&MP and flow, telemetry from endpoints and applications, not necessarily considered your traditional, right? It's not syslog or audit log. It's not a traditional IPS or IDS system or a firewall. But the data is incredibly relevant in security situations. Earlier today when we were on stage, I talked about the incidences, some of the ones that were probably the pipeline incident, the SolarWinds incident. All of those, the reason why we actually found those, right, wasn't necessarily through an automated system, through anomaly detection. These are advanced persistent threats. Right. The people who implement these are well funded, they're very smart, they are working to get around cybersecurity infrastructure. The reason why those were found was because something was amiss, right? Somebody realized something had happened that should not happen, and then they started looking, right? If you're going to start doing that's, moving to a threat hunting posture and start looking for things, being suspicious of everything and looking, the types of data you need are the types of data that you have in a visibility system, not necessarily just a pure traditional cybersecurity infrastructure. And that's one of the things that we try to promote at Riverbed is start looking for those problems, use your automated systems, use the best in breed cybersecurity infrastructure, but also implement a a culture of threat hunting, questioning and asking why things are the way that they are. Because your automated infrastructure might save you from 99.999%, but that 0.0001% that gets through, it's the most damaging of all the threats that you could possibly face within your organization, and it requires you to go threat hunting to find them.
Those are some great points. Well, Marlin McFate, thank you so much for joining us here and sharing some of your insights with us.
No, my pleasure.